No, I wish I was though.
This is normal for us.
It
really is, man.
We are here with Bret Michaels.
We should be so lucky.
We should be so lucky.
I have the conch. Does that mean I get to speak?
So we're gonna go around the table here. We're gonna sit here and talk about Thor. What made us want to do this?
I think what made us want to do it is that the three of us loved it, and then Dan posted on his Facebook, "Who else saw Thor? Let's talk about Thor." And I was like, "Hey, let's talk about Thor." So we dragged Daniel P. Grote here from the Atlantic City Press to be.
All right. Well, let's do some introductions here.
Yeah.
We are from Farpoint Toys. I'm Justin. That is
Bret Michaels.
CC DeVille.
Oh, Puppy Dog!
I don't want to be the drummer. I don't want to be.
Wow, it's a sad state when we all know all Ricky Rocket.
I don't want to be Ricky Rocket.
Wow, we know all the names of everyone in voice, and Dan, that shows something about our '80s knowledge there.
Behind the music.
Yeah, it was pretty good, man. CC, it was dark times, really dark.
My favorite.
One line he says, "It was a house of horse, and then it was the house of hogs." Both sound exactly the same.
This was the Thor episode. We're gonna do 80s. That's great.
That's actually.
I love the scene where they
also had long flaxen blonde hair.
Yes, without extensions.
Can we have a moment of silence for Thor's beautiful hair, please?
Yeah, it was never real.
I don't listen.
All right, let's rein it in here.
All right.
So we're going to talk about Thor Ragnarok, the newest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Spoilers.
There's going to be a lot of spoilers we're going to talk about here. We were hoping. Now we're all like
You gotta preface it with that.
geeky and joyous about this movie, and I noticed a couple people on my friends list and on social media. To me, I thought it was like a love it or hate it because I saw some people who were just like totally hating on this movie because of the comedic elements.
I gotta interrupt.
Yeah, what?
She's holding the hammer. You're
Do
doing
you
it.
wanna-
I'm doing a preface here.
It's hard to be a talking phone.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll shut this MF off. So we're just going to talk about it, and I would love if anybody has differing opinions
to chime in.
chime in. I'll read your opinions here, and we will talk about them in a grown-up, mature. No, we won't.
No.
So, all right. Well, let's talk about how do we want to start
Who
this.
would like to like the
You got the hammer.
We have Thor's hammer here. We have Mjolnir here, and whoever has the hammer will be speaking. So,
Should I just talk or you want to ask me a question?
I don't have any question. I'm very ill prepared for this.
I'm not. Can I throw a question out? No, I want to throw a question out at you.
Okay. Question.
The three of us went to see the movie.
Yes.
I had my 5 hour to go see it. It was going to be a late night for me.
Yeah.
And what were your expectations? Because we had heard a lot of good and bad.
Okay.
So let's tell me what you
My
thought.
expectations were a cool soundtrack. One of my favorite characters getting his beautiful haircut. I expected that because of the trailer. We expected to see Hulk, which we'll talk about a little bit, I think, in depth later. Which I think they made a mistake.
We're going to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I knew to expect Hulk, which I wish I didn't.
Right.
Um,
Which I think a lot of us.
Can we talk about Kate Blanchett? I expected to see a 48-year-old woman. I hope to be half as gorgeous as her when I'm twice her age. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that does.
Wow, she's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous,
No,
and a consummate actress. Amazing.
you're plugged into the net. Do we know if
You want
any?
the con-
No, I'm just asking. Do we know? Anybody here know if any of that was CGI on her body? Because it looked amazing. I mean,
they might have airbrushed her makeup a little bit, but I don't think that they
All right.
CG'd her.
I don't think the headgear was real.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, I doubt that. If it was a
You know what I was
fantastic
going. I
effect.
mean, she looked amazing. She
So
really did.
let's stick to the expectation thing. Dan,
Yeah.
what were your Well, this is Dan Grote from AC Press and Wednesday Morning Quarterback. And what's your podcast?
Culture Club.
Culture Club. Who talks about pop culture. Dan is an opinionated individual who we haven't had on our little vidcast thing here yet,
Fireside.
and we our fireside chat, and we are big fans of Dan. And Dan is a friend. So anyway, without further ado, what were your expectations, Dan?
I went in expecting to love it. Honestly, every trailer I loved. I'm a fan of Taika Waititi as a director. I love what we do in the shadows. Is fantastic. So I had no reason to go into this thinking it was a bad movie.
It's cool that you even are on this. You're informed about that director. I don't even know what else he directed. I didn't even know that was him doing the voice of the Rock guy.
Idea.
So it's actually cool that you were, you had expectations because you've seen other things he's done, which is interesting because I did not.
No, I didn't.
What were your expectations? And you got to talk about your brother then.
Well, yeah, I'll get there. My expectations were, to be honest with you, whatever anybody wants to say out there watching this, I was very disappointed with Guardians 2.
Me too.
And Guardians 1 was such a masterpiece in the Marvel Universe because I had nothing to base it on, and Guardians 2 just let me down. And my fear, and I had expressed this to you, was that we were going to go in and see this bullshit, humor that made no sense just because that's where it seemed like, is that where it was going? And I have to be honest, to use I'm going to use a reference that we were just talking about. It was nothing but a good time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Bringing it around.
That was deep. That was deep.
Now, I'll give what I thought going in, and then we'll talk about why maybe Guardians 2 didn't live up to Guardians 1.
Sure.
To preface this,
Sure.
Am I a bad nerd? I didn't. You went without me. I didn't see Guardians.
I didn't go. I downloaded it at home, but
that should tell you something.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I was excited for Thor because of the trailers, specifically because of the music. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Led Zeppelin song that talks about Thor, and the graphics, the title sequences that they showed with the 80s looking colors. It had this like Flash Gordon vibe going on.
So you went in with a good expectation.
I expected it to be good.
Okay.
And the last 2 Thor movies, especially Dark World, weren't good movies. You know what I mean? And I was like, well, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
They were okay, yeah.
But I also expected it to be maybe a little goofy because, we're work partners, so I didn't know if I was going to enjoy the humor in it. I didn't know if I was going to.
Well, we can talk about, honestly, we all agree, right? A great joke is a great joke, but we've all been sitting there we've been at parties when somebody tells a joke and you do the fake laugh. And you didn't want to have that fake laugh with this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just things work and things don't work.
So the first Guardians worked.
Yeah.
Right? We all agree the first Guardians
unbelievable. One of my top 5
came out of nowhere.
of the modern Disney Marvel.
Were any of us Guardians of the Galaxy fans
had
before
no
that?
clue. I couldn't tell. Rocket. Did anybody know?
You've read Marvel. I mean, were you?
I knew those characters existed,
But
yeah, right. I had no emotional investment in any of them.
Right.
Marvel really didn't do much with its cosmic characters for a
20,
good
30 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
Infinity Crusade and Annihilation.
So,
Right.
How about Chris Pratt? Like, he was on Parks and Rec as
a kind of a chubby guy,
chubby,
right?
like,
Yeah,
nugget. Who expected Chris Pratt to come out and be like everyone's heartthrob
Right.
of the year?
Right.
and that movie went a little harder on the comedy than other Marvel movies had. They've always had elements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
fun,
That specifically, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is the first one that had like it was more fun. I think it embraced more comedy, looser,
Without a
more
doubt.
fun. Okay.
And it embraced more of the comic book where it came from. Comic books are fun, colorful things. This was a fun, colorful.
Also introduced the kind of the Kirby space thing to the modern Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Which is all over Ragnarok. I mean, that's
why,
Ragnarok
yes.
planet is just Kirby
It
drawings.
is Kirby
The
from
buildings,
Head to
the
Toe. I said that.
machinery, the aliens. It's just you're just basking in its glow. I think like the first time you see that like citadel or whatever, like I might have got a little choked up, to be quite honest.
Jack could have drew that.
Yeah.
Jack literally could have, I don't want to go into the whole Jack thing, but I think anybody who's read, I started reading Comic 50 when I was 10 years old, and, there is really there's no Marvel Universe without Jack.
No.
As much as Stan wants to take ownership of it. Fuck Stan.
Tell
But
us how
anyway,
you-
That is not the opinion of everyone in this.
But if you want to go that way, to start to see some homage to a guy that, wow, man, it was, I felt, we walked out of there and I said that to them. I said, the Kirby's all over that,
I
man.
think
Yeah.
you were
Dude,
wearing.
yeah.
Frank has a shirt that says Jack Kirby got screwed with Kirby crackling on.
So, yeah,
I think,
beautiful. Yeah,
I think
so-
you were wearing it.
I think I was, yeah.
Well, I think the success of the first Guardians led to this movie being what it is.
Well, let's go around it. You have to give Disney credit. This movie to me was a gamble. Because this could have went bad, man.
How do you take like the Shakespearean drama that was the first two Thor movies,
Right.
and all of a sudden, let's get this not really well known New Zealand director who does quirky.
Yeah, it wasn't safe.
It
wasn't a safe bet, man, and it worked, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's the thing, though. It ends up working out because the thing is, Chris Hemsworth, we've learned this in the last couple of years. We didn't learn it in the first two Thor movies. He's got comedic chops.
He does.
He was the best part of the Vacation reboot. He was one of the best parts of Ghostbusters.
By far, the only okay part. Okay part.
I worship at the altar of Kate McKinnon. So
okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, so he can do comedy.
Yes.
So to pair him with a director who's going to bring that out in him.
And it rocked. It really did. I hate Ragnarok rocked.
It did.
Right, it did.
And specifically because it was so. Scully, you're watching this. Scully, spoilers. We have your little spoiler things here.
We didn't invite you because you hadn't seen it.
We didn't invite you to talk about this, and now you're watching it, Scully.
Look, dude.
Dude, come on. Look, hold on.
Yeah, come on.
We're in spoiler central here, George. So anyway,
This is great.
let's talk about some spoilers. Obviously, Hulk was a huge part
Oh, go ahead.
of this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our expectations, and the trailers are what gave us our expectations. I think I think Disney dropped the ball by showing too much in the trailer.
I would have liked to have seen rumors of Hulk or not seen Hulk.
Now they could have added into the trailer. He's a friend from work, and just left out who it was. Maybe even to surprise us with that if they wanted to include that.
Or a big blackout. The guy comes busting out. You ever see how they do that in comics, where they would, you'd see like a shadow, something, and leave. All right, we know
Just
it's
like
Hulk.
a green hand.
I don't need to see that beautiful armor.
The thing is, though, if you read like the reporting leading up to the first trailer, like you already. I mean, not everybody does, obviously, but there's enough people going into it who knew Mark Ruffalo was in it, that it was a
Right, but
Sure.
we need to see him.
Right. Here's the thing. That was a moment. That was one of the moments in the film.
movie. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And here's
So
what
there's a difference between knowing Ruffalo's in it and knowing that moment. Say you didn't see it in the trailer. I would have jumped out of my seat.
Dude, that's a join me or together we rule the galaxy moment. I mean, that was a key, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of those moments. And I'm going to switch gears here.
It lost a little something because we knew it was going to happen.
I mean, there were plenty of other surprises,
Which were
Sure.
awesome.
Yeah.
But wasn't that a pinnacle moment? I mean, I felt between but here's the thing that maybe we can get back in the circle and go back to it. I think in general, we talked about this 50 minutes or 30 minutes of previews with excessive spoilers. There's key moments in all the movies we're watching. They're showing if the lady actually survives the fall. I mean, I don't get it.
That the Justice League trailer that I saw right before Thor. It was like half the movie. Like they're telling you what's happening and how it's gonna happen.
Well, you know what? Good. That's good because that's going to save me even more.
I know. I didn't know Superman died.
I hate to
do the whole Batman Superman thing.
I hate to feel that way, and I hate to prejudge Justice League. But this is how we do things, just so you know.
Sure.
We start talking about something, and man, we just go off the rails.
Yeah.
And then we try and get back on the rails, and then we just go off the rails.
Well, the previews suck.
But you actually spoke about Justice League
I did.
when we came in, and Wonder Woman specifically, because you said something about the new Thor movie, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, so I did what every normal nerd does, and I was ranking the best superhero movies of the year. And I'm thinking number one is Logan, hands down.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Because it's not a superhero movie.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's basically just a Western.
Yep.
But I think with Thor, I'm like this close to booting Wonder Woman out of number two. Now, I think Wonder Woman earns its spot, especially with the cultural significance. But, for my money, Thor was A, excellent, and B, probably one of my favorite Marvel movies.
The modern Disney era.
Yeah.
I try to put
the Iron Man.
Yeah, the Iron Man up.
Yep.
I think I'm going like Winter Soldier, Guardians, Ragnarok.
Winter Soldier.
Why?
It's hard to beat Winter Soldier.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm blown away that I understand where I can't believe that Logan's a good argument. Spider-Man could be one. It can go either.
Oh yeah, I forgot Spider-Man.
I don't know how you leave that out.
Spidey's my number 5.
Wow, because I got to tell you, between Toby and whoever the second guy who
Andrew Garfield,
he's at the toll booth in Hoboken. Between the two of them,
if anybody doesn't get that, he's making a joke that Andrew Garfield doesn't have work anymore because he ruined Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true. He's probably still in movies.
He's doing, like Oscar movies.
No, I gave him a quarter in Hoboken going over the bridge.
A quarter.
Well, yeah, I was walking.
It's more like $8.
$42. And I guess this is where I'm at with Wonder Woman. I wasn't impressed. It's the best DC movie to date, but
Yeah.
As long as we're not including like Superman 2 and the
that's a whole. I'm going modern era. It's almost like comics.
Man of Steel,
it's not fair to compare Romita to McFarlane. It's two different eras in a lot of ways. But my point being, if you would have said, if you say Logan, I can go with Logan. I can go with Spidey. You can go back and forth. But I got to tell you, of those three, let's stay with the Marvel. We can get into a Wonder Woman discussion later. Without a doubt, I'm on the Thor camp as my favorite movie this year because I'll tell you why. I don't want to curse. Man, I sat there and enjoyed the hell out of that movie and laughed.
What did you beep, but you didn't beep hell?
Fucking.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean, the three of us sat there and I was tired. And dude, the whole time, and we're talking, and the audience is engaged. So for as much as I loved Wolverine and love Logan, it's an A movie. Spidey's an A, but this one gets an A plus a little joy. You know, I don't know if that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
Where are you at with those? With that kind of thing?
I forgot Logan was this year.
Yeah, it feels older.
It's been a
It was
long
early.
year.
It was early. Yeah, it's been a Trump year.
March.
Wow.
Man, that's tough because Logan. Thor was fun. It was a super fun movie, and that's really what it has going for it.
Great adventure.
So
and it's Disney.
I think Logan is just a better story.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like comparing a Camaro to
I know Zeppelin back in black. I mean, I know where you could go.
Right,
but,
it's really tough. I think over time, I think if you ask me, here's how I try and think about this kind of thing. I think if you ask me the same question in 10 years, Logan will stand out more in my head because it was more impactful. You want to talk about a movie that came out of nowhere, out of left field? It's a superhero movie that wasn't a superhero movie at all. So I think it has more power in the long term for me.
I agree with you 100%. My number one superhero movie of the year was definitely Logan.
It might be my number one superhero movie of all time.
It's for me it's a close.
It's not a superhero movie.
For me, it's a tie of all time. It's a tie somewhere. My top three: Logan, Watchmen, The Crow. There's the three there. Whatever order. Okay. I don't jumble them up however you want. I don't even know.
And as you can tell by that, you prefer your superhero movies to have a serious tone. Yes.
Darkman. Yes. No, I'm kidding.
No. I do love Liam Neeson, and we just talked about Crow yesterday.
All right.
No Crow. Let's not go off the road here.
Yeah, no. But no, Logan definitely my number one of the year. Wonder Woman would have been higher up on my list if we talked about this before. If David, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Thewlis was not like supposed to be the king of, I'm the god of war.
Yeah,
I'm a little creepy, nebbish British guy.
It wasn't good.
But it was good because, like you said, the cultural significance, the fact that a woman-led superhero movie mattered was important.
Well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's probably the coolest thing about Wonder Woman. That they even felt strong enough to make that movie.
It's the most important aspect of the movie. It's actually more important than how good the movie was.
Which is kind of makes it not number one.
Right.
I do want to say one thing about where you guys are going with Logan and where I kind of go the other way with Thor. Maybe just because I just watched Thor. I took my wife to see Guardians, and she's not into this at all, and she loved it. See, what I like about Thor was I could take somebody who's not into what we're into, and it hits everybody. And that's why I kind of like, I think that's why, Brenda would laugh, Amanda would laugh, my family would laugh. They'd have a good time in a movie. That's hard to do with a superhero movie. That's really, really, Guardians. Avengers 1 was fun, too.
Yeah. No.
Avengers 1, Ultron.
But
right. We're on the same boat for a lot of these things.
For me, it was definitely Logan number one. I would say Thor is number two.
Spidey doesn't come in there?
Spider-Man was pretty good.
Loved it, too.
I would say Wonder Woman and Spider-Man are probably tied for third, I guess.
And that was Logan, right? Guardian's not in
But Logan was...
Not at all.
For me, Logan was
far. We've all discounted the Lego Batman movie. I just want to point that
Was that this year?
I
That was
should.
my number 4.
Yeah,
Was that this year?
That's
I haven't seen it yet.
See, I don't. Is that a superhero movie?
Sure. It's a Batman
It's
movie.
made out of plastic. Doesn't mean
If you
anything.
throw that in there, it's up there high.
I haven't seen it.
I didn't even think it's awesome.
It's very
Really?
It's got the Thor factor. Get ready to laugh.
Well, it's Will Arnett, right? Still.
Yeah.
It's really well written. It's really.
Huh.
Nice. So what else? What else do we want to say specifically?
Well, with
Well, let's talk about why the people we've come across who haven't liked it.
Okay, let me start.
Oh, okay.
I have.
Give her the conch.
I'll take the conch. So I have a few friends who I actually have one friend. I don't want to name names, but I have one friend who's a huge Thor fan. She worships at the altar of Thor, no pun intended, and she did not like this movie at all.
I can see that.
There's a couple reasons. It wasn't serious. It was more lighthearted, and Thor has gravitas, and some of the story plots, the death, etc.
Are we talking about comic-wise? He has gravitas?
The character himself carries
the storyline of Ragnarok.
in the movies. He's been a little goofy, but he's still been able to carry these serious plot points. And in this movie, there were serious plot points: the destruction of his home world, his father dying, spoilers.
Yeah.
His brother. Again.
Losing an eye.
Yeah, going against his brother, that whole thing. These were all treated as like, oh, my dad's dead, haha, let's go have fun. So it was not as serious as I guess she would have liked. And to bring it down another notch, there were some jokes about slavery that people were not happy with. The way that some people were portrayed as slaves, some people of color were portrayed as slaves, or not slaves, but prisoners with jobs. That joke landing on some people did not land on some people well. I didn't really laugh at that either, but just because it wasn't really funny. But again, I have a privilege, so I didn't really know how to speak to that.
It's tough. It's a tough conversation to
And
have.
it's also, and I mentioned this to Dan earlier, the director of this movie is, am I wrong? He's not a white bread American dude.
I believe he's of Aborigine descent, but I am not 100 on that.
So
He looked like a rock to me.
So I maybe there's another.
That was a
lens.
director.
I know.
Okay.
I got it.
Maybe there's another lens that it can be looked at through. And again, this may be my privilege speaking, but I maybe didn't like the slavery jokes. I didn't think they were funny, but they didn't. You can like things and realize that they have problematic aspects, and it may have been problematic.
Did you
but
have a problem with it?
It landed weirdly for me. They're not slaves; they're prisoners with
But I
jobs.
think that joke was supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Sure, if they're joking about slaves.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were joking about slaves
Wow.
is kind of the problem, I guess, and that's why it's
Well,
problematic.
here's the issue. We're a bunch of white folks sitting around talking about
Yes.
that, which
That is the
it's
issue.
tough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let me.
We can't. There's lenses we can't look through.
Time finding a person who didn't love Thor.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Right.
and again, I don't want to speak to anyone else's experiences, but these are some things that I've heard that people did not like about the film.
Sure, and I can't argue with those points
you
of
gotta
view.
tread lightly on that.
Yes.
On that, you
I'm
know.
not-
It's a point of view I can't argue down.
Yeah, nobody wants to say they're
group
good
to have
people.
that discussion.
Yes, I agree with
it's
Dan.
not. It's really not. I would have liked to have gotten some other
Yes.
input on that.
So if anyone has any opinions like that, can you please share them
Do we
with
have
us so
anybody
that we
listening
can
to us?
Yeah.
so that we can discuss that at more
Georgie
time?
Fournier said, "Hey Frank, hey Justin." He didn't say, "Hey Penelope," though.
Yeah, everybody forgets about Penelope. It's fine. It's fine, Georgie.
Scully called himself a schmuck. Well, they specifically thanked Walt Simonson
Yeah.
in the credits.
Arguably, if anybody wants to go back and actually read a comic book instead of worrying about its future value, there's a guy named Walt Simonson. He did Thor in the 80s. 337 it begins. It goes about 30 issues. I suggest you read it. Arguably one of the greatest Thor runs ever.
There were some really cool shout-outs in there. Obviously, there were some Planet Hulk aspects.
The curse
Right?
thing.
There was, if you noticed, a Beta Ray Bill statue. When they showed the statues of all the champions,
Yeah, the
one of the heads was
Beta.
Beta Ray.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Thor corpse error at the end there when he with the eye and the ship,
Okay.
and that's I was done reading at that point, but somebody told me that Thor corpse was
Right.
Thor with Beta Ray, and they have no home. The
Oh,
Asgard.
and there was a
So how does that work? I didn't realize.
frog Thor.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a Simonson
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throg.
Throg, yeah.
Yeah.
Throg.
I guess he's officially broken up with Natalie Portman now.
Yeah,
Right?
which
They
sucks.
had to talk about that, and
Yeah, but now you can get together with Valkyrie.
Which is where it kind of
What
looks like,
happened to
right?
Sif?
None of us
Did
have
she
talked
die?
about how awesome Tessa Thompson
We're
was
getting
in this
there.
movie.
We're getting
We're
there.
getting there.
Yeah.
So do we have any other? Do we want to nitpick? Do we want to talk about other people's?
Well, we can
complaints?
whatever you want. You need to go there. I think we need to go to Valkyrie. Go ahead.
We can skip ahead,
The
that's fine.
empowering of again you know.
And a woman of color.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
To a typically Nordic, everybody
Yeah.
thinks Valkyrie.
Well, I mean, for the whole idea of the the Asgardians just being pasty white,
Right.
folks
That's
that-
out the window.
First movie.
Yeah.
Heimdall.
It's all the-
Yes.
Like Hogan is
Hey, Asian, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, all his boys are dead now.
That's Kirby.
That was just a that. All right, so
Volstagg, done.
Yeah.
that's it. Like just run a sword through Volstagg. That's a series wrap on Ray Stevenson.
I know.
That caught me.
Yeah, that kind of
At
sucked.
least Hogan got a last stand.
Yes, all his boys should have got a last stand. But there's another. That's another that talks about a little more. It wasn't just all goofy. Like he lost his closest brethren there.
But I think some people that have an issue with the goofiness are having issues with the fact that it was heavy. He lost his dad, he lost his boys, but 2 seconds later he's making jokes. And I can understand why people would feel like
All right, well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The movie, if you put the tone, if you put it on a scale, was definitely on the more fun comedic side of things. It wasn't Logan.
No.
If you're going there expecting Thor to be Logan,
I cried
you
at
are
Logan,
going
man.
to be disappointed. I did.
I
absolutely.
cried. I know we
when
cried.
he told
I cried.
Professor X it wasn't me,
I cried.
or when he buried Professor X.
Yeah.
Are we going into this? No, I don't want to go into this.
Scene where,
I cried,
Oh
man.
my God! What's his face from ER pulls the gun on Logan because he basically brought all this monkey business to his house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
That's when my heart broke.
Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart, great actor of our time. One of his
Jackman
best.
too.
Yeah, I know, but Stewart stood out. I mean, dude, psychotic Professor X.
Who presumably killed
Yes.
a lot of his students.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The X-Men. Yeah.
the issue
Dark.
of mention, yeah.
Dark. So
It wasn't
anyway,
me. It
we
was
had.
Xavier, it wasn't me. Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Karate Kid action going on.
Yeah.
Where was I going with that?
I don't know. We were talking about Logan again.
It's hard. The
Yeah.
more we talk about Logan, the more it inches up.
So I think
It's been a while.
we were starting to talk about Valkyrie and how
Yes.
Yeah.
Asgard is not just blonde-haired, blonde, blue-eyed white folks.
Right.
It's a hodgepodge. Which
Just like it resembles the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, which I liked about it.
Yeah, good point of that. And that really goes back to Stan. I got to give him some credit. And Jack. You got to remember when Thor came out in the early 60s, there was a lot of social unrest, like a lot of what we're feeling now.
Sure.
It's funny how the pendulum goes back and comes around. And I know if you read a lot of writing of Stan and Jack and all of them at that time, they were of open mind to start to move us in that direction. There was a reason that
They were younger and hip. What kind of? I don't know how young.
Early 40s, 30s.
Yeah.
They were both in their early 40s.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and they were definitely
the
socio-aware.
Marvel age, so to speak.
Yeah, and the early Marvel age was pop culture infused. They were going after the college students, not the 10-year-olds.
Yes.
And that was part of it. And that Asgard that we see today is Jack and Stan's vision of Asgard, which says a lot about, again, that wheel as it continues to turn.
The time where it was born is now, like you said, it's a cycle.
Yeah,
It's
we're
coming back
cycling
around.
through that.
I'm confused as to. I thought you had to take. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you had to take the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard. I didn't know you could take a spaceship. I thought it existed on a different plane or a different dimension.
So too. My whole reading comics.
So when the Rainbow Bridge is gone and they get on a spaceship, I'm like, well, are they still stuck in the dimension that Asgard was in, or can they take a spaceship to Earth
so what's
now?
the point
They're
of
basically just treating it like a planet
at that moment?
Yeah.
Now, is that retconned now?
It looked like a flat, weird, crystalline thing in space.
Yes.
Right.
But I thought Asgard was its own dimension. I thought like the ice giants lived in a dimension. I didn't know it was all just
I
planets.
know how it works in like actual mythology, but I'm
talking about
I don't know how
in the
it works
MCU.
Yeah, I don't know how it works.
Everything that I know about Thor, and you're a comic reader, is that the only way to get there was through the Rainbow Bridge.
Right.
What the hell's the point if you can just fly up to the side of the bridge and walk in? You know what I mean?
How many stories have there been where they've destroyed the Bifrost? There's always had to be loopholes. To
there's always that side door.
Or
Loki had tons
have
of
it float over Oklahoma for a while.
So maybe the ship will go
I
through
just
some
said-
sort of dimensional portal. They just need to find a dimension. It's not in our outer space, for lack of a better term. It's not in our universe. They have to go through a portal to get to it. Just like they had to go through a portal to get out of the Citadel. Right? They went through the anus of Devil's Anus, yeah.
which was hysterical.
So can I want to thank whoever wrote that in, because I got to hear Tom Hiddleston say the word anus and it made my day.
Yeah.
And And I also stop making a face. While I'm on my little fangirl kick, the fact that I got to see Cumberbatch and Hiddleston in a scene together was awesome. Let's talk about Hiddleston for a second. Loki in this movie, I think this was my favorite Loki movie. I love Tom Hiddleston. I love his Loki because he doesn't take himself too seriously, obviously, in this movie at least. He was falling for 30 minutes, which was absolutely hilarious. I love the whole line. Him and Cumberbatch had a little thing. It was cool, and I dug it. His relationship with Thor in this movie, I really like the brotherly, because at the end of the day, he knows he's an asshole, and yet they're still working together and doing their thing.
Loki's been for 40 years in comics. I go with you. One of my highlights, and there's many in this movie, was Matt Damon popping up.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know it. Matt Damon. We all look at each other like, what?
Yeah. So it wasn't just Matt Damon.
I know. Go with it.
It was Matt Damon and Sam Neill.
Sam Neill. And
who played Thor?
His brother.
Hemsworth's brother.
That's him? Yes.
No, the other one.
No.
Luke?
There's additional Hemsworth?
Yes, that's his brother. We looked it up.
We did. So he's got the brother that's also an actor, and then the third brother, it was the third brother.
He's like that Wilson brother that only shows up in Wes Anderson movies. Not Owen, the other one.
Yeah.
Or Pete Best.
So that's why he looks so much like Hemsworth, because he was another Hemsworth.
Awesome scene, right? I mean, and you just know that Asgard would go to hell with Loki in charge.
Yeah.
It had a little Trumpism to it.
It's funny it did. It's funny that you say that, because I think that this movie, for all of its funny cuteness,
had
some messages.
Yes.
It had, I don't want to say a Trumpism, but it had a weirdo asshole in charge.
Yeah, we're not saying Trumpism. We're
it had the whole thing with Goldblum in charge and what was going on with that.
Yes,
there was definitely some political statements being made there.
Can't have a revolution without someone to revolt against.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Tie.
He got to be Goldblum in that.
He's Goldblum in every
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah. Go back to the Fly. Go back to the Fly. He's the same guy.
I agree with Dan.
Guys,
that's not a problem.
No.
All right. There's two things I want to touch on. I want to touch on something. I want to finish this with our favorite moments, because there were so many moments in this movie. There were so many, but I want to talk about, and we kind of touched on this. Is it accidental, or is Marvel just amazing at casting? Like, the people they have cast in these parts,
from start to toe, this long planned Marvel thing is paying dividends. They again talk about where DC's just so fucked up, right? Where they have no way in no direction. The movies are just being thrown out, and it feels that way. It feels half shot. Marvel's long-term plan, Disney's commitment. The greatest thing that happened to us as fans is that Disney bought Marvel.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we are blessed with, it's not an accident.
Quality.
What do you say all the time? The mouse is forever.
The mouse is forever. The quality of the mouse is forever.
Can you think of a misstep, though, in casting any of these movies? Can you think of it like, that didn't work?
Back and if we're going to stay with Thor, the casting was dead on. This last movie was dead on. Wolverine was dead on. Spidey, the new kid is Spidey. Come on. Who can't like that kid? Except that they're always English.
Wolverine.
Hello, I love being Spider-Man.
Wolverine's Fox, but we don't want to nitpick.
Well, the casting's been dead on.
In the MCU, it really has.
It really has.
Starting with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Yeah. Right? Like, that's kind of where it starts, and holy crap.
You can go all the way back to the pre-Disney owner. I mean, the X-Men 1 and 2. I mean,
Patrick Stewart, that's Fox, not.
I know. I was never
Marvel movies.
I was never a Toby fan. I
think Toby was a great Peter Parker.
Yeah, okay, but tell me, what's his name wasn't the ultimate Doc Ock?
He was great. Absolutely, fantastic.
Although no one's going to sit here and talk about Thomas Hayden Church was the ultimate Sandman.
No. It's a shame, but he looked the part. That movie just was
He has that jaw.
Yeah, they could have did a Sandman movie with Spider-Man.
So I think as a rule, as an overarching rule, I think Marvel's done pretty well with casting. I think that now with the Black Panther movie coming out, I think that we're seeing more people of color and more women being involved. I'd like to see more people of color and more women. There's been a lot of controversy about some of their casting choices, especially in Doctor Strange. They cast the Ancient One as an English woman.
I was great with that.
We got a thumbs up for it being a woman. We got a thumbs down for it being whitewashed. So I think that they're trying new things. At least they're trying. They're trying to cast women. They're trying to cast people of color. They're trying to be more inclusive. And we appreciate the effort. It could go a little more, but as a rule, I don't want to complain too much about any casting. especially with Black Panther coming out. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that.
Black Panther looks gorgeous.
Looks great.
It looks really
Looks
cool.
great.
The costuming in the movie is amazing.
And again, I don't know if it looks like a predominantly African American,
Which
black,
it-
right? I
it
mean,
damn
absolutely.
well-
you know,
damn well
look-
better be.
well, no, because
The only two white people in the trailer
Well,
are Bilbo.
yeah.
Circus and
Bilbo and Gollum.
Now,
Exactly,
can I
you know?
make the stupid joke? It's Bilbo and Gollum. They're the Tolkien white guys in this movie.
Wow.
I don't think that
You
Black
get the
Panther.
hair on that.
So
I love
so
I saw it online. I can't take
okay.
credit.
so you remember how like the first Iron Man and really began the new Marvel Cinematic Universe was grounded. You know, it was Earth. It had a lot of realism elements, except for the tech, which is his thing because he's brilliant. But they once they started bringing Thor in with the Avengers, and then they do Guardians of the Galaxy, that opened the door for Black Panther. Because now Wakanda, all this technology and like it's almost like another planet on Earth. Like it's so out there. I don't think Marvel did it well introducing things the way they did. Because if they did Black Panther the second movie in, it was too out there.
Yeah, Guardians would have
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no.
They're doing a good job of pacing these.
They're planning these out the right way. It shows. There's a long-term plan, from what I understand, with them. They know where they're going to be 5 years from now, and it's paying off. Everything's interwoven, which is exactly why Marvel Comics killed DC when the Marvel Age began. All of a sudden, you started to see modern pop references. Spider-Man fought the Fantastic Four. He didn't go over there and join them. And what you said about cultural diversity, Marvel was on the edge of that. Black Panther came out. Power Man came out. Black Widow. Women were empowered early on.
What's funny, Iron Fist.
Shang-Chi,
What's funny is sometimes you look at older DC characters, and because of the time they were created,
it's awful.
Yeah, they are stereotypes
it's
out the
Remember Super
wazoo.
Friends, the three characters they created for the Super Friends: Black Lightning, Apache Chief, and Samurai. Stereotype.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's awful.
yes.
It was
And
Yes.
I get Marvel. I think in the 70s there was a lot of like exploitation. So it was like the black exploitation kind of stuff going on with Power Man.
The Kung
and
Fu
then
movies,
the Kung
the
Fu
Shang-Chi,
movies.
Yeah,
Iron
The
Fist.
guy with the mustache like this. So
Yeah.
they had their hand in the stereotypes
Well,
too.
Marvel went through a stage. I don't want to get into the whole history. Marvel went through a stage. Kirby, Lee, and them really lasted basically till the end of the 60s. And then this new Roy Thomas came in, and a whole new guys who had grown up with this stuff. It's almost like you. You listen to Zeppelin, you listen to Sabbath, and you want to play your band like those bands. Well, these guys, Roy Thomas was 14 years old. His first script was accepted, maybe even younger. All of a sudden, Barry Smith, hippie dude who smoked pot from England, drawing Conan. I mean, all of a sudden you saw this new wave of young talent. Neil Adams was a maverick, man. You see all this stuff coming in. And that's why Marvel just always seems so much hipper than DC. It really did. Superman, you go back.
Child labor.
Yeah, yes.
They kept it youthful.
You say that, and it's funny because I'm friends with Larry Hamill on Facebook, and he's always posting these photos.
You name dropping.
I did. Listen. I've got his number in my phone, so don't even start.
Oh my
I'm
God.
kidding. So actually, I'm not kidding.
We just lost our 2 viewers.
Oh, shut up. But no, he's always posting these photos of him like in the bullpen with the Marvel guys, and they're always taking pictures of each other like for reference for drawing. And his photos, it captures that like, because he's he's an Asian guy, and you've got everybody there, and it's just like this multicultural.
It looked fun, man. I don't think they even realized
fun as hell.
what they were doing. Like what's happening now with how crazy things are. I don't think those guys ever realized what was going to happen with the characters they were writing.
Does anybody? I mean, being a comic guy, does anybody think that Jack's family shouldn't be so? They should be so wealthy that the money's in the Cayman Islands. I mean, I think they get residuals, but it's nowhere near. We can go one day. We'll do a Jack Kirby thing.
Well, I don't think any of the actual comic guys are getting the money.
No,
I think it's the big wigs in
seclusion in some apartment in
Well,
New York.
that's personal choice, though. He's got that whole
I know,
Iron
but
Man thing going.
I don't think he's getting any money. Man. I don't know if he's getting any money, man. So
he's just quietly living in a.
One thing I will say though is because of the movies, you're seeing publishers, you're seeing the media companies doing a better job of actually crediting the creator, which is not the same as producing a nice royalty check.
Right.
But you're now seeing, Captain America created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon.
Right.
You're seeing even like the DC movies.
Yeah, and that Bob Kane or
Bob
whoever,
Kane and Bill Finger.
Right. Yeah.
It's only in the last 5 years that
Bill Finger even got credit to be there. If you talk to Bob Kane, Bill didn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, if you read interviews from that period. The only thing I want to say about the acknowledgement of work input is great, but there's a famous story where Jack took his grandson to a Toys R Us, and at the time the Mego Hulks were out, and he said he saw a whole thing with Mego Hulks. He started crying and had to walk out. Because imagine seeing that toy product, everything look, Hulk is Jack. Stan said, make a Jekyll and Hyde character. He came and said, here's Hulk. And not a dime.
Speaking
There's something
of,
not okay.
we should go grab that.
Huh? Well, that's a different thing.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
That's a.
Do you want me to-
Nah, that's
No?
a. Yeah.
Do you want to wait till the end? I want to do it here. I want the
Or its own thing.
Yeah,
No,
you want to do it?
really?
Okay, however you want to do it. Yeah, it's your call.
I'm still showing Dan.
All right. Yeah, of course.
You want to do it now?
Yeah, go grab it.
All right, look at you.
Yeah,
guys.
we'll
You guys-
share it.
Spotlight.
We just talked about it. You know what I mean? Like that's a thing, man. You just mentioned it. Dan's like, what the F is going on?
Sean? I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us.
So we're not gonna show that right this minute. Yeah, I guess we will. Yeah, bring it
All right,
on.
before we do the comic, we started with the whole Thor thing. I don't think I'll go. Everybody, we're all giving it an A.
Absolutely.
At this table.
Yeah.
We can't recommend enough to go see it. You're missing out. It's better. Go to the movies. Buy popcorn. Sit there with your wife who could care less.
And have a blast.
And have a blast. Right? Like, what do you got to say about it?
I took my son. I took my 6-year-old. He loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That says a lot. Like, he didn't.
He didn't. You know what? He didn't like watching Thor and the Hulk fight.
Oh, you don't get two good guys.
Yeah, get that from a 6-year-old perspective. Yeah.
We were all the adult. And he's like, "This is a great
This
fight."
is awesome.
Yes.
The lightning out of his eyes. He's gonna make it. I thought he was going the way.
Better
of
than the
Grote.
fight was their banter
Oh,
afterwards.
whatever.
What fantastic! This was the best version of the Hulk out of like any
Yes.
movie since Ang Lee.
Yeah, without a doubt. Before we go, we have
How long
totally
have we been on here?
in our exuberance,
Does it tell you?
we have
No.
left out what, and you just mentioned it, is not, and spoiler coming, I'd like to get everybody's opinion on the after the battle scene where Thor and Hulk interact, Hulk in the hot tub scene. Is that not one of the greatest moments in Marvel? I mean, Justin, give me the line that just you were cracking up.
I forget
when he's
which one.
walking away.
Oh, yeah, no.
Baby,
I can't get. What does he say? I forget.
something about his arms.
Baby arms?
Oh, baby arms.
You were just done at that point. You were-
When the Hulk calls Thor baby arms.
Yeah.
Of everyone's ass.
Because he's a ball buster. Hulk's a.
No, stop. If anyone's ass in this movie that they could have made us look at, thanks for it being CG Mark Ruffalo. I guess.
Yes, awesome.
Sorry, I would rather. There's at least 3 or 4 other people.
I understand
whose
that from a
asses I would
female
like to see
perspective.
first.
But tell me
Jeff
what you
Goldblum,
thought.
more or less.
Less. It's
Matt
definitely
Damon
less.
with the wig on.
Well, let me rank. I guess I would have liked to see.
Are we ranking butt?
Yeah.
No, oh my
I would like to see Hiddleston's butt. I've seen Cumberbatch's butt enough.
We know this is not. So
I want to know what you think about that.
you leave baby arms.
funny.
Stuff.
It was funny.
Hulk like-
Drinking with the balcony.
I
Hulk like burning fire.
Mark Ruffalo is an awesome Hulk. I love him as Hulk.
And his banner was tremendous.
Dude,
I love
He's so good. When he tells Valkyrie, "Wait till you see this," and jumps out of the plane
And then he falls.
and then hits the ground.
It was awesome. It was.
That's how well it was written. There's so
awesome.
Dan. There's so many moments.
I really wanted to talk about this. What was everybody's favorite moment or scene or part?
All right, for me, it was the a lot of the ball busting between Hulk and Thor.
Yeah.
Up from when they're talking up until when
I agree.
the baby arms thing, the like you go, I'm mad at you, and then when he turns back into Banner, he's like, we fought, and Thor's like,
I was gonna go there.
I love that. Thor, yes, we fought.
I won easily.
Well, who won? I won easily.
That doesn't sound right. You hear Banner in the background.
And that plays right to Hemsworth's chops
Yes.
because that's just a line.
Right.
I
His
won
delivery.
easily. His timing with the easily.
Awesome. I was going there with that.
Yeah.
I think you and I are on the same page. The moments on that planet between him and Hulk. I
Yeah.
mean, just when they say
It's two bros busting each other's chops.
when they said Devil's Anus, just
Oh,
like, I mean, and Penelope was sitting between us.
Which I will never do again because you guys just talking over me.
It was that
type of movie.
That type of movie. Look, you go see Blade Runner, the new Blade, you sit there and watch it and all, or whatever you want to do.
We were those people in the theater.
Yeah, we were those people. Him and I were, but it wasn't just us. I'm looking over. People were. It was a group. We came together laughing.
Yeah,
and
that's how fun it was.
Look, you just cracked up, and you knew he hit the radio bridge. I mean, you knew it. I wanted him to ride that damn dog. I wanted him to come out like he whooped the dog. I wanted him to own the dog.
So your favorite part was the devil's anus? Is that?
No, my favorite part was
I can't think of parts.
I just love the devil's anus. My favorite part was of the movie. The whole concept of the movie for me and was without a doubt the interaction of characters far surpassed. Look, Hella was great. But I had a better time in Hulk's hot tub.
Yeah.
I really did, man. So.
What stands out for you is a...
Give the man the conch.
There's a small moment. Thank you. There's a small moment where they're on the, what's his face, Goldblum's ship that plays Happy Birthday.
His orgy ship.
It was the orgy ship. It might have been a different ship, but whatever.
I know it's the orgy ship.
Tessa Thompson's got this gun thing set up in the back of it, and there's this very small gifable moment where she's kind of sassy and drunk throughout the whole movie, where she kind of grinds it just a little bit and smiles at Buffalo, just that's. And that's the thing, because she could kill you with a look. She was stumbling around drunk for
and she's a freaking Valkyrie.
Everyone around.
Yeah.
Somebody on Twitter drew her as Alana from Saga, the image.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh my god, that's the perfect casting.
She would be awesome.
Yeah, she would be awesome.
Yeah.
She would.
Saga's very popular. I'm surprised they haven't done any kind of...
Brian K. Vaughan has terrible luck getting projects adapted for other media. I think they were supposed to make Y the Last Man for years. Yeah. But anyway, here we are derailing again.
Yes, it happens.
The other thing, and this was a trend, there were multiple scenes of this throughout the movie, and I'm going to move my chair because it involves a little bit of charades here. There were multiple characters walking to camera, flinging their arms out with blades coming out. Hella does it once, Loki does it once.
I didn't notice that.
Me neither. I got to watch it again.
We're your daughter, so we got to...
I'm with you, Dan. I definitely noticed that.
Wow, man, I'm enjoying the movie again.
That's how good it was.
That's how good it was. We walked out hyped that night.
We did. We absolutely did.
So my favorite, it wasn't a single scene. It was like you mentioned, a couple things. Hemsworth's interaction with Hiddleston. I really like the dynamic there.
They're brothers.
Kate Blanchett was awesome, and I loved her. Her entire character, her look, everything. She was awesome. She was badass.
She was so hot.
She was pretty hot too. But we're not gonna downgrade her in that way.
Can we talk about her butt?
It was awesome.
I know.
When it's your turn to talk about your favorite thing. But no, Hiddleston and Hemsworth interaction. The Loki character with more comedy because he's the god of mischief. So I liked him as more comedic. I was falling for 30 minutes. But if I had to pick one thing. The Get Help. I'm not doing.
Get Help is so good.
Don't spoil it for anybody.
It's spoilers, motherfuckers.
If they're watching this and haven't seen it, that's terrible.
And it wasn't just a one-time only thing. The Get Help, the setup. I'm not doing Get Help. Throwing him at
not
someone.
Again.
I'm not doing it again. Then later he says it again.
Yeah,
it's funny.
When they confront Hela and he says it again, it's actually even more hilarious.
So Hiddleston, the whole thing with Thor is it's like a serious, dramatic Shakespearean thing. Hiddleston, serious, dramatic Shakespearean, serious actor. Cumberbatch, same thing, but Hiddleston especially, serious, dramatic actor. And for him to be comedic and so funny and getting thrown at people. And
I'm not doing Get Help.
I'm not doing Get Help.
Even them thinking about that.
The fact it's a move with a name like it's fastball special.
Yes.
Yes, it's a fastball.
Even
his reaction when Hulk busts out of the arena and he realizes this is Hulk and what Hulk did to me.
Yes.
It was a facial expression.
Yeah.
He tried to walk, turn, and go.
And he says, how does it feel?
It's awesome.
Guys, I'd love for you in the comments here because obviously most of you are going to be watching this after we post it. You're not on here right now. Post in the comments what your favorite moment in the movie was because there were so many. I mean, there was countless. Even the Rock guy, the director is the Rock guy.
He's awesome.
When they're like, oh, what
We're gonna have a revolution. You want to join us?
What planet are you from, Miko? And he was like, oh, Miko's dead.
He's dead.
I stepped on him on the bridge.
I felt bad. I'm bringing him with me or whatever the hell he said. It's awesome.
It was just fantastic. It was a lot of fun.
Korg. The captain's name is Korg.
Korg was the rock guy. I don't remember the little guy.
Like Korg on a Korg jokes and,
Yeah.
and stuff.
I didn't know he was a director until afterwards because I would have been like, why is he inserting himself in there? But it worked.
Fun, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really felt like a movie where everybody was smoking pot.
Doug.
Did they film that in Colorado? Yeah, I mean,
I think they filmed something in Georgia.
yeah, well then, yeah. It really felt like a fun movie to be on the set. How much fun did they have with,
They were doing a lot of improv on set, apparently.
Well, see,
No doubt.
and it shows.
I wonder if Get Help was even scripted. Like maybe it was just like make up a funny thing. That would be cool.
I don't know because
That's pretty good. Yeah.
but then they got to set up the whole thing with him throwing him at people. Who gets a writing credit on that? Did the director also write, or
I don't know.
I
don't know who
didn't
Marvel's
research
writing.
that.
We have the internet at our fingertips.
yeah, we need to look into who wrote it.
Reddit.
So are we doing?
Hi,
this?
Melissa. We are.
I've got
There's somebody commented. Brian said, "I did miss Thor wielding the hammer. I hated when it got destroyed." We should talk about the hammer.
Do you want me to give them a comic spoiler?
Yeah. This is a spoiler from the comics.
Just reading the comics, growing up with the comics, that hammer does get destroyed by Hela. It gets put back by a certain master of mystic arts. Thor has to have his hammer,
Which makes sense. I love the line though
Does
that
he also forge a new hammer in like a steel mill in Pittsburgh at some point during the Simonson run?
It's not the real hammer.
Yeah.
It's a prop. He could have got this.
Yeah.
I love when Odin says, "You're not Thor, the god of hammers."
Right.
That's just a great. I mean, Anthony Hopkins. Not that he's always been doing great movies, because if anybody saw the newest Transformers movie, it's just
I didn't.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Anthony Hopkins got to eat same as everyone else.
I hope he's got a 401.
I was going to say, he was just in the new Transformers movie that was filmed exclusively at Stonehenge, TM. So that was like, what are you?
I know.
The man's got to eat. He's got
it's just terrible.
De Niro went through a stage where he made like 10 bad movies.
He hasn't made a good movie since.
I know, yeah. But he's eating. He's eating well.
I think Heat was his last good movie.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't remember the order of it. Goodfellas.
Well, it was before Heat.
Yeah.
So we talked about Hulk and Kirby and Thor.
Yeah.
We should wait for this.
We've had such a good run tonight. But if it was, all right, let the 33.4 do it.
You don't have to.
No, if you wanna unveil
we
it,
can at least show it to Dan.
Well, we need to give a little backdrop.
Well, most people are going to know the backstory, kind of.
Yeah, we should give them a quickie on, what.
I want to do a different video because people aren't going to know. They're not going to bother watching this. We're going to save this. We're going to save this so we can plug it.
Blue balls right now.
We'll see you next week with it. All right, we'll see you next week.
See you next week or a couple of days.
Yeah.
We're going to show Dan this thing, and then we're going to show you all soon.
Thank you for coming.
Are we wrapping it up?
Yeah.
All right.
Anybody got anything else they want to?
Dan, plug your stuff for the.
If you guys want, you can follow me on Twitter at Daniel P. Grote. I run a comics blog through the Press of Atlantic City. It's called Wednesday Morning Quarterback. So if you're into comics, check it out, please and thank you.
Wait, stay there. We got this.
Oh yeah, and I wrote this.
He wrote this.
Available here.
At 4.2.
And he'll sign it for you.
I think it's already signed. This one's
we
already
have-
signed. Yeah.
There you go.
See, we're ahead of the game
Look
here.
at that.
And I want to show you another thing. Can you pick that up for me? Come on.
That's how good of a guy he is.
That's how good of a guy he is. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming, Dan. Thanks everybody for watching this, all four of you, and anybody who watches it after the fact. Please post in the comments, all right, and share this. Have fun. Always fun.